Go on, Sugar.
Hey y'all, it's your sugar here. Sorry I'm late. Looks like we have some technical difficulty going on, but please bear with me. Y'all know what time it is. It's a Wednesday night and it's around 7:30. So, we here together and it's a party. Uh with Sugar talking women's boxing. I'm going to introduce myself as usual. I'm Natalie SUGAR Brown. I'm a former female fighter. I've been in the game for several years. Um, I've been in the game and I've been in the game at the elite level for the majority of those years. So the Sugar Show is basically Sugar coming back to tell you guys what the authentic experience and what really goes down in women's boxing. So tonight, um, we're going to revisit the another black eye in women's boxing, um, another serious topic in women's boxing, which is the cry for help. You know, who gets heard? uh, a huge fight just happened. Well, not huge, but a pretty big fight just happened over the weekend. And the fighter that I'm going to focus on is Alma Ibarra. She just had her shot at the undisputed welterweight title against Jessica McCaskill. Now, Ibarra was a pretty good underdog coming into the fight. She has a great amateur background, lovely assistant. Can you put Ibarra's? Do we have any images of Ibarra that we can share? This is for the people who are tuning into my visual show. And those on the podcast or those who are listening in audio, please look her up. Uh, Alma Barra is a Mexican fighter, and she's not just any name Mexican fighter. She is a Mexican fighter who has actually earned quite a resume in her boxing career so far. I'm gonna uh, give you guys some statistics on this fighter. She's a welterweight, and the thing about Mexican fighters or fighters out of Mexico is uh, fighters of that size are very rare. Mexican, especially Mexican female fighters, they are more on the lower weight classes, pin weight, bantamweight, you know, those type of deals. You, you very, I mean, they they do come in all shapes and sizes, but um, the higher you go in weight, the fewer the contenders. But it takes nothing away from the fact that them broads can fight. Okay, you coming out of Mexico, despite of all the tomato cans you may see in the in the mainstream, that with these so-called name broads flying these Mexican contenders up. These broads can fight. Okay, so Alma Ibarra is a accomplished fighter in that she has an amateur background with some with some achievements on it. Just to name a few, she went to the Pan American Games. I'm not sure if she medaled. Um, she also made it to the Central American Games. Okay, so these are like platforms as a fighter that, regardless of where you come from, if you make it to these levels, you can fight, and you're somebody that should be noted. So the story is on Alma Ibarra is she just missed the Olympic trial. the Olympic qualifiers because she was kidnapped. Her and her coach was kidnapped. So, she missed out on a tremendous opportunity in being on the Olympic platform and representing her country and actually adding value to her resume. So, okay, she missed out on that. Aside from that, big time, she got kidnapped. Like, come on. Right? But she still continued, and I'm not sure why. You know what? Like, when you these things happen when you are south of the border, or I'm not sure. Am I starting over, you guys? Okay, we want to start over again. Looks like I'm live. I was just talking. Um, I was just talking to the screen, but if you guys are chiming in, it's Wednesday evening, and you know what time it is. It's time to party with Sugar on the Sugar Show. Yeah, we're here. And we're here talking women's boxing. Okay. So, y'all missed my ramble in the beginning. But the topic of the show highlights the black eye, a black eye in women's boxing. Um, and the reason why these black I shine light on these black eyes in women's boxing is, as they come, I have to give the audience and the fans perspective on what comes to pass when you see the result of the black eye, of the shenanigans in the ring. So a pretty important fight happened over the weekend in uh, Jessica McCaskill defending her undisputed welterweight titles, 147 titles, against Alma Ibarra. And so, congratulations, champ, Jessica. But the show is pretty much about Ibarra's story. Okay, everybody loves the champ. Everybody cheers for the champ, but the contenders are the reason why the champs are the champ. Okay, and so this topic tonight is about the black eye that uh, Ibarra brings to the surface uh, uh, in women's boxing, whether the people care or not. I got to let y'all know, okay? Because I always, I always take it back to the understanding that when a female fighter or when a fighter signs that contract, they sign on the dotted line, they sign their life on that line. Okay? We risk our lives to get in there. Okay? And we risk our lives hoping that we get a fair shot and a fair chance at making a living for ourselves and our families. So Alma Ibarra is quite accomplished. She's a Mexican fighter. She's a Mexican fighter with a great resume. She has an amateur background that includes her getting to the Pan American Games, Central American Games, and she even made it to the Olympic qualifier. Except she wasn't able to participate as a qualifier on that day because she got kidnapped. Yes, her and her coach got kidnapped. And so, aside from being kidnapped, she missed out on one of the grandest opportunities she would have ever had as a fighter in her journey. Okay? So now she after this she turned pro, and as a pro, she now decides that she's going to go for the opportunity to become a belt holder, to become a champion. But this is women's boxing. So it Easier said than done. Okay. The black eye comes here in where Ibarra uh, had a good start. When she started her pro, um, when she started, oh, goodness, I got a fact that came in. Alma Ibarra got third place at the Pan American Games in 2011. So, if anything, y'all know she was one of the baddest broads on this side of the world, on this side of the earth, from 2011. Okay, she medaled. She got third place at the Pan American Games. Okay, now from that to this, she is now in the pro ranks, and she has taken her, she's done good for herself. If anybody can give me the numbers, or give me the names of, let's say, her first 5 fights, because Sugar don't really mention anybody until they get to 10 fights. Okay, unless they are unless they have stepped up and they're fighting name contenders while they're sub 10 fights, which is a pretty brawny feat. You gotta have, um they say, you gotta have gonads for the men. You gotta have, that's a busty move right there. You gotta have some big boobies to step up to high end opposition when you're sub 10, um, in your record, when you've had less than 10 fights. Anyway, so she's fought the likes of uh, Marcella Cornejo. I can never get these names right, y'all. Please forgive me. Corna uh, Cornejo or something like that. Which is, she's a middleweight contender. This middleweight contender, she keeps trying, but she can't quite get into championship or elite realm. Okay, but she's a name in the game. Okay, Marcella Cornejo. Cornejo or whatever. It's not being sorry, y'all. I'm not being disrespectful. It's kind of tough for me to uh, get some of these names. Anyway, so she fought the likes of her. Um, she's fought the likes of Raquel Miller. Now, Raquel Miller is out here. She out here, y'all. Raquel Miller is 11-0 right now, and nobody will touch her. And she's in the hot weight class. Yeah. Raquel can touch down to 147, or she can mix it up in middleweight, right up to 160. But nobody is letting her up on the porch. Yeah, they're conveniently ignoring this lady. But we'll see. We'll see what I mean, there's a method to the madness. She's still a contender. She's still someone who's on the radar. I'm thinking that they're waiting for her to get stale. Yeah. They are keeping her on the shelf until she gets stale, and then they call her. Just like McCaskill them called Ibarra for this title shot. Okay. They called Ibarra the first time, um, after Ibarra beat Candy Wyatt, uh, to see who gets the shot with McCaskill. They call Ibarra 5 days notice for a title shot, a undisputed title shot. You call the contender with 5 days notice for a huge fight for all the belts? But this is what happens. This is, sorry for the background. Tonight's a spirited show, ain't it? We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Okay. Um, so yes, McCaskill, girl, you out here, you doing your thing. Okay, but I got to call the thing as I see it. Because this is you rare for this stuff, girl, McCaskill. People love you, but people gotta know what you're doing out here. Okay? So you've been in the gym, McCaskill's been in the gym training and preparing, and her matchmakers have been seeking and finding and doing their research. Okay, and then they come up with a contract that they send to the contenders, 5 days notice for a shot at the title, while the champ been training the whole time and been getting ready for each contender. Okay, so in this case, they solicited Ibarra for that title shot, but Ibarra said no. I deserve to have a camp. I deserve to prepare properly for this title shot. I'm not taking it. So they passed the offer down to Candy Wyatt. And as y'all could have clearly seen in that fight between Jessica McCaskill and Candy Wyatt, Candy wasn't ready. Candy just was not ready. Okay. So, if I could get some of the details in that Candy Wyatt fight, my lovely assistant, I would love that. And do we have any image that we can share tonight, or are we not sharing? Are we not sharing tonight? Y'all let me know. Okay. Either way, sugar is sweet on it. Okay. So, yeah. So what happened now after McCaskill beat Wyatt is, oh gosh, y'all know it ain't the sugar show unless y'all hear the sirens chiming in the back. So now the party is really getting started. Okay. So back to what I was saying. Uh Candy White, Ibarra now, after Candy White gets beat by Jessica McCaskill, she then takes them up on that title shot. She prepares herself in Mexico for the first half of her camp, and then for the last part of it, I believe she was in Vegas. Okay, now the fly in the ointment is, and what I heard through the grapevine is, once Ibarra got to the States, she started having difficulty with her management. Okay. So, Ibarra, as she's training, she's starting to get bullshit from her managers about the money for the fight. So now the monies that is expected and that is offered to Ibarra from what she knows is being receded. Okay. Um, Now other details are being shifted around, and on top of that, she still has to make sure that she's sound, fit, and prepared to get into the ring with McCaskill in Texas. Okay, while McCaskill is already prepared for this fight, while McCaskill has already outlined the details. She's winning already on paper. She's winning already outside the ring. Okay. She already know what her money's going to look like. Her management has already set all that stuff up. Her promoter, Eddie Hearn, has already put everything in place. So her mind is on easy street. Okay. The contender now is thinking, oh my gosh, they taking money out my pocket. I've already signed the contract. Now they're switching stuff up, and I don't know what to do. Right? But she continues to train. All she could do at this point is threaten to not show up to the fight. But what happens, and this is what I know from my experience too with dealing with McCaskill's team, is they're very accommodating. They make it seem like, oh, Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We're gonna straighten it out. Oh, do you need this? We get you that. Oh, do you need that? We get you that. Well, they know that they're going you on the tail end. Okay, so I suppose they did enough to get Ibarra to Texas, and Ibarra weighs in, and now it's time for the fight. Now, what's happened in this fight is, you know, I'm sure you. This is what happens in a fight. The commission or all the representatives, they come and they visit each fighter in their room. They look at the fighters' wraps in their hands. They check water bottles. They do all of these things to make sure people aren't cheating, or people aren't wrapping uh, rolls of nickels or pennies in in the hand wraps, right? So they're checking everything. Um, uh, Goodness, who was it that got caught uh, putting nickel rolls or wrapping their hands so hard that it was like a cast by the time they got to the ring? Who was it? It wasn't Bandina. It was goodness. The name start with an N, with an M, and it was a male fighter. So he got into some real big trouble because he beat a contender that was a name, and there was some money on that contender's name. So of course that money behind the contender made sure that things were researched, and they found out that the hands were wrapped so so hard, or wrapped with so much tape and everything that goes around the hand, that it was much like a cast. And then when you put your hand in the 8-ounce gloves, right? These gloves aren't padded. They ain't the gloves that you see in Walmart. Okay, these ain't the gloves that you see in the sports store. Um, these are, they just leather 8-ounce gloves, right? So even when I got in there fight night, we fought in 8-ounce gloves, and you felt the impact of the person's skull on your knuckles, right? So if your hand wasn't conditioned to strike on a person's skull or on the hard parts, you was going to break your hand. Okay. Here we go. Uh, my lovely assistant comes in. Margarito was the fighter who got his license revoked for having plaster-like wrappings on his hand going into a fight. Um, the the panel rejected Margarito's plea of ignorance. He's trying to say he didn't know better. Come on now, you're a fighter. You getting your hands wrapped. You know what's happening. You know the impact of what hard hand wrapping is gonna do to the person that you're gonna fight. So come on, you can't plead ignorance, baby. He told the panel that he just held up his hands to be wrapped. You making a Don't do that, right? And so that's why I'm glad they revoked his license, right? If you didn't know that, then your dumb ass shouldn't even be boxing in the first place. Yeah, I said it. Sugar said it, right? If you too dumb to know better, you shouldn't be doing what you doing. My grandmother would whoop my ass. That's what she used to say when she whooped my ass. Oh, so you want to be dumb? You want to be too dumb to know better? Then you get your ass whooped. R.I.P. Ruby. That was my grandmother, right? She taught me some lessons that I still hear her in the back of my mind till this day. Um, so the he's saying that it was simply a mistake, but you don't mistakenly continue to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap hands until they're hard like a cast. It's not a mistake anymore. Right? So license revoked, and then it comes back to the topic that Sugar's talking about tonight, the black eye. So I mean, I'm waiting for a broad to get pulled up about some shit like that, or some, sorry, beep, for some stuff like that. Why? Because nobody pays attention to women's boxing. So this is very well happening in women's boxing, and no one's saying anything about it because uh, the fans. We need more fans to take interest. We need more people to know what's out here. So your favorite female fighter can be protected when she signs her life on that dotted line. Okay, so Ibarra signs up, fight night comes. I'm sure shenanigans in the changing room because I've experienced the same thing with that team. Okay, she comes out. Okay, they announce her, they announce McCaskill, and the fight starts. Okay, now everybody knows that you gonna fight McCaskill, it ain't gonna be a clean fight. It's gonna be a parking lot windmill. I'm coming with my head, and you, there's no boxing in this. This is a fight. But I saw the fight. Some people saying that it was a snoozer. I didn't call it a. I don't think it's a snoozer, but I don't think a fighter. I mean, a fan who was not interested in Ibarra would not find this fight entertaining because they would be very much focused on McCaskill. And to be honest, McCaskill is not uh, the type of fighter that's going to entertain you with um, her performance, with how she operates in the ring. She's just a rough and tumble. Um, okay, Mike comes in. Hey, Mike. Mike comes in. Tell us about your fight with McCaskill in 2017. So, this is what happened with my fight with McCaskill. They got me on a 7-day notice. Okay. Um, but and I was coming off of being shelved, and because there was a promise for a fight after the McCaskill fight, I took the fight because I was on the shelf and I wanted opportunities. Okay, so they got me. I was also stale. Okay, I hadn't fought since my fight with um, Tammy Johnson, which was about maybe 3 or 4 years prior to that fight. Y'all can come to me with the numbers. I'm not sure, but I was definitely stale. Okay. Then they came with, you got to go down to 134 pounds if you're going to take this fight. Right. I thought the fight was going to be at 140. And then going in to sign, they said, no, you got to come down to 134. So I had already committed to the fight. So I said, okay, I'll come down. I'll go down to 134. I had gone down to 134 before, and it didn't go well for me, but I figured that it was because, when did I go down to 134? I fought at 134 when I fought Fujin Raika, I believe. Yeah, Fujin Raika in Japan. And I noticed it before. I noticed uh, before in the fight when I fought Fujin that I didn't have the weight on my punches that I know myself to have. Um, but I can still box. So that sacrifice, I could still, you know, I could still win off the strength that I got skills. Uh, Fight in Japan that didn't go as I thought, but you cannot go to a queen's castle and expect to beat her up and get away with it. You got to kill the queen. That's what we say in women's boxing. You go to a broad's hometown or a home country, You better kill her. You better put her flat if you want to, if you want any chance of winning. So, I mean, the fight is out there somewhere in cyberspace, probably on YouTube. The title is called "Unbelievable Judgment" because one of the fans that I have in Japan, I've recorded the fight, I guess from the stands, and could not believe that they would have blatantly robbed me like that because I outclassed Fujin Raika in that fight. They were, even the Japanese were cheering for me at the end of the fight. Go fig. I love my fans. That I still um, I still appreciate how I was treated when I did go to when I was in Japan and when I trained also in Japan. So, uh, no love lost. That's just a part of my story. But getting back to this, so fighting with McCaskill, so I went down to 134. Okay, they were very accommodating. Oh, what do you need? Oh, nice, 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 nice. And I went to McCaskill's. Um, I went to her domain, right? So I went to her castle in Chicago. And so people were pretty excited that Sugar was going to get back in the ring against this young lady who is an upcoming prospect. And, you know, it, it's, it's compulsory, like when you go to uncharted territory, this is what happens to fighters people don't understand that you are fighting as the moment you step off of the flight. Okay, you're fighting where they conveniently forget to pick you up from the airport, or you're fighting where the hotel that you're staying at is miles and miles and miles from the airport, and miles and miles and miles from the venue, and on top of that, there may not be any food in the general area of where you're gonna um, where you're staying, so you can't find food, or you can't work out. There's no place where you can, like, just a whole bunch of crap that you've got to deal with. Then you got weigh-in that you got to go to, where they got all sorts of delectable foods and bites, and so they offer you food and they offer you drinks, but that's a no-no, and it's a no-go. You don't drink nothing from nobody. You don't eat nothing from nobody at the weigh-in, because you for damn sure can get set up with them putting something in your drink or them putting something in your food. Okay? So, you got to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, okay, from the moment you step off of your flight. Okay. So, I mean, that happened. Fight night comes. The commissioner now, Chicago commissioner, I forgot what her name is, Asian lady. Now, everybody knows that Sugar's outfits are unconventional. Okay. And everybody knows that. I mean, that was outlined when I took the fight, because that's a part of my performance, as a part of my value. Sugar's gonna come in an unconventional outfit. Sugar's gonna either wear a leotard, or Sugar's gonna wear something that does not involve boxing trunks. Commissioner comes to the room. Okay, I have a leotard on, and she says, um, "You can't fight in that." I said, "I have nothing else." She says, "You're going to have to send somebody to the store and get you some shorts, or wear these." And she comes with these boxing trunks that are like maybe 4 or 5 sizes smaller than what I am. So, like, already, right? So this is aside from everything else happening. um, this really agitated me, and this really frustrated me. I sat in the dressing room, and I said, "Well, I guess y'all don't have a fight, right?" And it may seem small, but don't come like at the last minute and like don't they um don't come knowing the type of fighter that signed up for the fight and trying to threaten the fighter. Oh, we're going to take money out your purse if you don't fight, or we can take legal action if you don't fight, all over a pair of shorts, right? And I'm not going to throw those shorts on, right? So I mean, that is the thing. So they get in your head, right? This was my experience. So okay, I got through that. um they allowed me to wear my outfit that I initially had on, and I went into the ring. It was like, okay, I'm already pissed off and agitated, okay? And the fight starts. So me and McCaskill meet in the center, and the boxing starts, and then we just start banging, right? Because I realized as the fight's going on, I realize, okay, the ref is stopping. Break, break. And then now I realize that the ref is fighting me as well. Watch any of the name fights. What I want y'all to do as fans is not only just watch the two contenders, but watch the ref. The refs are the slimiest people in boxing, especially female boxing. Okay? So as the ref is separating us, the ref is pushing me, and he's pushing and elbowing me and pushing me, and then he will put push he will push me far back, and then keep um McCaskill in her place. So I have to step back to fight again. Step back to fight again. Okay. So with that happening, okay, I'm getting frustrated, and um, the fatigue starts kicking in, and I'm pissed, and we're banging at it back and forth. And in the banging and in my frustration and fatigue, guess what happens? I bring my jab back, or I bring my left hand back low, and take nothing from McCaskill. She's got some power. She's strong. She's got some pop. I'm 134 pounds. Okay. This is not my weight. I take the blow. And this is the first time ever that this has happened in my life and career. I got dropped. I was like, oh, damn. I've been trained by the best of them on how to drop and be entertaining, but I never thought in my life or career that I'd hit the canvas like that. And so the auditorium erupted. Yay! So I get up and I get my faculties, okay? And um the ref is looking at me. Are you ready to fight? You good to go? I said, yeah, I'm good to go. And so McCaskill comes on for the attack. And I get on my toes because I know, okay, I got to make it through this round. Let me just make it through the round so I can recover. As I'm on my toes and on my feet to go back, McCaskill is coming on to me. The ref jumps in and stops the fight. The ref jumps in and stops the fight and says, you don't see, she was out on her feet. That I was out on my feet. You guys can very well take a look at the fight if you want to. A lot of people had commented to say that it was that stoppage wasn't warranted, but I mean, that's the story. It is what it is. So with what Ibarra, coming back to the topic of Ibarra, I know what Ibarra went through right on into as she got into the ring. And then as she got into the ring now, if you guys had a look at the fight. I'm sorry I can't show clips because these and some of you guys, some of you people that are at the fights and have watched these fights, send the footage to Sugar. Please share with Sugar, right? Because Danzin and them and Matchroom and them, they don't like to share. They don't want anybody showing their clips on any of these shows. So if you got personal clips, I'll shout you out. I send you something sweet from Talkin Fight and the Sugar Show. If you can send me footage of any fights that y'all have attended, any women's boxing fights that y'all have attended, right? We work together. So Ibarra was doing very well, right? But the ref is stepping in with shenanigans, and McCaskill is coming in. So the ref kept calling Ibarra for holding. But if somebody's coming in behind headbutts, you got to hold them. That's a part of the fight, right? So Ibarra is frustrated because the ref is not calling McCaskill for leading in with her head, with the headbutts and swinging the punches, but he's calling her every time she holds McCaskill in retaliation for the headbutt, for her leaning in with the head. Okay, I mean, I guess all's fair in a fight, but you know, this is where the mental toughness comes in, right? As a fighter, and I'm saying this to my fighters out there, male or female, sometimes you just might have to get disqualified because if somebody's if they coming in cheating, if they coming in with something that will potentially injure you in the long run, take your chances with the ref stopping the damn fight. Yeah, stop the fight for holding me holding. Yeah, stop the fight because I pushed that person's head down, right? Because you're not calling fair. As a ref's supposed to be calling fair. So these things happen, and what had happened behind the scenes now is um a Barra's corner is seeing all of this, and your corner is your last hope besides yourself. Your corner is your last hope. Um, when you get in the ring, like seriously, like that's how serious it gets. Your life is on the line, and your corner is your last hope besides you. The corner should have been calling, okay, the calling the fact that the other fighter, McCaskill, were doing all of these fouls. They should have. They do it in men boxing all the time. Okay. They weren't fighting for Ibarra. They weren't. And Ibarra is doing the best she can in the ring to navigate through what the ref shenanigans and navigating through dealing with McCaskill's fight style, which, you know, is a rough and tumble, sloppy kind of fight, but it's a fight nonetheless. Okay. And it's a style nonetheless. Personally, as a boxing enthusiast, I think Ibarra handled McCaskill very well. I think when she goes back and she looks at this fight, she's going to see that she was in it. And if she had continued the way she was handling McCaskill, McCaskill would have probably gotten fatigued most likely in about round 4 or 5. And the fight could have turned around because Ibarra is the bigger fighter. So even though Ibarra was absorbing McCaskill's shots, and she was absorbing some punishment, she would have been able to fare into the later rounds and really pressed McCaskill. Anyway, I believe it was, what round was it? Lovely assistance. Was it round 4 or something? 3 or 4? Where Ibarra says to her corner, um, I don't know if Ibarra said it to her corner, but you saw Ibarra says, no, no, and she yells to her corner. I think the corner said, we're stopping the fight. Okay. Now, Ibarra was in the fight. There was no need for a stoppage. Okay. Heard through the grapevine, though, that Ibarra got actually paid pennies for this fight, pennies, compared to what contenders normally get paid. So for a fight like this, you're gonna get paid uh, up 10 grand, up and over 10 grand. Okay, something like that. Okay. I think she got paid something like 5 grand or something low like that for such a huge opportunity and for this fight to fight the contender. When the purse bid or that fight was worth at least 40 grand. Okay, so somebody pocketed a good amount of Ibarra's money, and she only walked away with 5 grand. So, um, the fight was won. Ibarra lost that fight before she even stepped into the ring. Okay, I may be all over the place, but I'm hoping everybody is following me. Um, so, boxing, especially women's boxing, it ain't simple. It ain't as simple as it used to be, where you sign up for a fight and you go fight. Right now they're adding the shenanigans that they're doing in the male boxing to women's boxing. They're beating you before you get to the ring. You've got to have a solid team, a solid manager that's looking out for your best interest, that's in your corner. Your coach has to be looking out for your best interest and has to be in your corner as a fighter and will allow you to make a good showing for yourself to keep your value. Now, from what I saw, Ibarra's Ibarra's coach said he would stop the fight. It sounds like, though, because you can look at your fighter and you could tell. Look at Ibarra and you could tell that she could, she could have continued. She wasn't hurt. Everything was good. He said he would stop the fight. From what I saw Ibarra said, no, no. But from what um, others were saying, that Ibarra was speaking in Spanish and she said she did not want to continue fighting. She said she wanted to go home to her child alive. Ibarra has been in the ring and she has fought the likes of Raquel Miller, who ain't no joke neither, Marcela Cornejo or whatever, Candy Wyatt, and other contenders. She's been to the Pan American Games and she was good enough to get to the Olympics. That's not a fighter that quits, right? They're trying to um, they're trying to call. Night Blue comes in. Hi, how are you? Hi, Night Blue. Thanks for coming to the Sugar Show. I'm doing good. Even better that you're joining us. If you have any questions, please chime in, or if you have anything to say, please chime in. Okay. Um, where was I? So you looking at a fighter. I mean, people, they're talking about, oh, McCaskill outclassed or out overwhelmed Ibarra. It it wasn't a matter of McCaskill overwhelming Ibarra. It was goodness, the headlines, someone puts McCaskill wipes out Alma Ibarra, makes her quit after 3. McCaskill didn't make nobody quit. Ibarra said, screw this shit, I'm done. I believe she even announced her retirement shortly after the fight. Yeah, so she's had it with women's boxing. Hopefully she was just talking that yang, because she's a great contender, great warrioress, gladiatress in there. Okay, she's a pretty good she's a good contender. Um, So hopefully after she gets her head clear, she gets some people that is going to work for her best interest and not use her to make side deals, because it looked like from what I saw, the trainer might have made a side deal to say he would stop the fight early before it got to that fourth round. Yeah, and that happens, right? They, your corner can sell you out. You got to be able to trust the people in your corner, outside of the ring, inside the ring, whether you're a boxer or not. Choose your corner wisely. Choose the people in your life that you trust with your life wisely. I'll share a little bit of what Sugar went through. Sugar was married. I was married, and my husband also was somebody who plotted for me to lose, fights, for me not to be prepared for fights, ruined deals that I had coming in. Yeah, right. So he had to go, but as a fighter or as somebody who now puts their life on the line, I mean, I learned this. I was young, and I'm young. I grew up and became a woman in the game, right? So I had to learn the hard way. I'm passing down this knowledge to anyone who's in the world, in the fight game, right? Be aware of who you trust with your life. It said Ibarra was rocked in each of the first 3 rounds and appeared to have been mentally broken in rapid fashion. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Um, ain't these people great writers? Screw that shit. Ibarra got caught with some good shots, but so did McCaskill. They didn't write that Ibarra was lifting McCaskill's ass up with them uppercuts. Look at the fight, right? Ibarra was connecting on that ass. But nobody wants to write about that because even the writers are in the promoter's pocket, right? Everybody's bought and sold in the boxing, especially women's boxing. McCaskill has great money behind her. She takes after. They've learned from Floyd. Floyd pays the commentators for his fights. Nobody knew that. Yeah, okay. Floyd promoted his own fights. If people weren't aware of that, right? So that means if I'm giving everybody jobs, they they better talk about me nice. They better make me look good, or else they ain't got no more job. So that's what happened. Okay. Um, the writers and everything, everybody wants to show up and feel important at these fights and stuff now, I guess, because women's boxing is a thing. Okay. But um, I am I'm the splash of cold water in everybody's face. Okay. I want people to understand what they're doing to contenders, and this is why women's boxing most likely won't last. You have to have contenders. You cannot have you cannot have one woman and then the one woman is overwhelming. She's just the greatest of all. It doesn't work like that. There was an era in male boxing where there were four, they called them the four kings, right? Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, and Tommy Hearns. And they were all champions in the same division in their own right. And the contenders who fought them were no joke neither. That's what we need to have in women's boxing, instead of, oh, this queen, she's the greatest. No, that broad ain't the greatest. She ain't all that great. Okay. Goodness, I had a message come up. Can y'all share that message again for me, please, so I can see, so I can respond to it? Okay. So Abera said that you know, Jessica McCaskill's net worth is approximately. Listen, don't come on here with that. Don't come on here with that bullshit. Jessica McCaskill's net worth is approximately 1.5 million what? 1.5 million what? Because it ain't dollars. Ain't no broad in women's boxing balling that hard. And if her net worth is 1.5 million dollars, why is Ibarra only getting 5 grand for a title shot? That shows even more how disgusting of a business that her and her team do, right? Somebody makes it to the point of to solidify your name as a champion, and you only give them 5 grand, and you worth $1.5 million. Bitch, please, please. We're not even talking about that. We're not even talking about Katie Taylor. We're talking about Jessica McCaskill. Katie Taylor is an Olympian. Okay, I would nod my head to that. Girl, bye. Whoever wrote that, bye. Please. So we're going back to this black eye. You see what I'm saying? Like these numbers and these false truths and false facts are coming up in the media, and people are reading about this stuff, and no one's out here to blow the whistle except for Suge about the lies out here being told. Okay? Um Jessica McCaskill is out here trying to make a buck just like the rest of us, right? She may have sold she may have sold a little of her soul to be in the position that she's in. Only time will tell. Okay? She'll Cecilia Brækhus was that broad at one time. Where is she now? Right? She's floating through the ranks trying to catch the next wave, and nobody will give her the next wave. Word is she ain't got no money. She ain't got no more money. Cecilia Brækhus. So ain't nobody putting her in the position to be nobody. That's how that works. You got to have money behind you. You have to have the dollars behind you right now in women's boxing. It's not about who's the best fighter anymore. The only good fighter that I see that stands solid behind her skills is Claressa Shields. Yeah, I said it. Claressa Shields can fight. She ain't going to knock you out, but ain't no broad out here going to be beating Claressa Shields for a very long time. Why? Claressa Shields got the IQ. She got the skills to pay the bills, and she's made a great resume for herself. 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Somebody can my lovely assistant put up what Claressa Shields' net worth is? Let's see what it is compared to McCaskill's. Please come with the number. Show me the number. Okay. And I guess the show is going to end up in some ramblings and all of that stuff now. But I mean, it is a black eye in the growth of women's boxing. The only way that we're going to be able to make money. Okay, so Claressa Shields has a net worth of approximately $4 million. Okay, so let's put these numbers into some real perspective. Claressa Shields was not making any money in women's boxing, so she went to MMA. Okay? And this is letting you know the climate of the industry. Women's boxing is not $1 million industry, not yet. So Clarissa Shields would be the one that would most likely be worth $1.5 million. Jessica McCaskill would probably be worth maybe a couple $100,000 because her purse fighting Ibarra the other day was not $1 million purse. Cecilia Brega's net worth is 2.5 million. Um, nope, nope. Cecilia Brega's would probably be a mil. I would say 1 million. She's been in the game long enough to have made $1 million. You see what I'm saying? But let's take things into perspective, into some real perspective. These ain't no purses out here being paid in those in those type of digits, right? There's no what is it? There's no 7 digit, what is it, 6 digit purses for women's boxers. Not even Christy Martin. Okay, so let's not believe the hype. Women's boxing is on the rise. It's growing. Okay. Um, your girl Amanda Serrano, she's got another fight coming up with Jake Paul, and she's going to be on the card. I guess he needed somebody legit so he can stay putting on these celebrity boxing or these so-called boxing matches that aren't boxing matches, because he's making all this money and he's not fighting real boxers. He's the only boxer. He's like Rocky. Rocky was never a real fighter. Rocky never existed, but Rocky's in the Hall of Fame. Jake Paul is not a real fighter. He's not. He has not gone up in the ranking. He has not done anything substantial to be a real fighter, but yet he has this huge platform, and he's bringing all this attention to himself as a boxer. So he brought Amanda Serrano in. Who are we excited for Amanda Serrano to fight, unless she's going to fight Delphine Persoon, right? That'd be a huge fight. But if Amanda's fighting anybody, they could. I'm hearing Amanda Serrano's a beast. Okay, she's a beast. Um, because she fought and lost to Katie Taylor. Who's the beast that Amanda Serrano's fought? Show me another beast, right? Um, I mean, she's fought a stale one. Her last name is Diamante or something like that. That was a great fighter. But Amanda, like, these are just names. We, we got to look at a thing for what it is. Women's boxing. I was just told, Christy Martin got a good seat on the on the panel to find talent for a promotional company. So women should be excited about that. Nobody knows that Christy Martin has her own. She's a promoter within herself, and she hasn't promoted any women like that in boxing, right? So the show is about women's boxing, y'all. I love women's boxing. The business of it is something that I don't love so much. But what it has done for me and my life, I can't, I'm, the words can't describe how grateful I am. Um, and it has saved a lot more of us women out here that wanted to step off the rails and be gladiators, get gladiatresses, and you know, fight on the world stage and prove that we are skilled, and we are the the most dangerous at doing what we do in the world. There's a lot, there's a lot of pride in that, right? But I'm going to wrap the show up now. No more rambling. But and anyone have any questions chiming in, please ask. But these numbers got to make sense. The stories got to make sense. Ibarra says she wanted to go home to her child alive. When you hear a fighter say that, she said that in the ring sitting there, she's letting everybody know that she's in danger. Even her corner is against her. She's leaving, she's fleeing for her life. That's the most scariest feeling. That everyone's around you, right? Everyone's around you will watch you get beat and watch you being done unfair, and you can't even defend yourself, because when you try to defend yourself, they call they call a foul to you, or you can't even do the job that you've been training to do properly. She's an Olympic level athlete. When you see somebody like that say, screw this, I'm done, you got to use your brain and faculties and say something ain't right. So my lovely assistants want you guys to know that if you want to see the links to my fights that I mentioned tonight, and that they were, I don't like to say these were some of my worst days at the office in the ring. The links are in the comments, okay? So you'll see what Sugar's talking about in this episode, and you can objectively have a look at what I was talking about, and have an objective look at my experience. um yeah, so uh wrapping it up. People are calling Alma Ibarra a quitter. She's not a quitter. She had to preserve herself, and she had to preserve her life. And if that meant she had to stop it, then so be it. She's an accomplished fighter. Okay? Look at her resume. She's achieved things that money can't buy. And you have to give her credit for that. Okay? Uh, like I said, I heard that she announced her retirement, but what I hope and what I'm putting out there, the prayers and the energies that I'm putting out there, because I was also a single mother at a certain point in my career, trying to fight and make a living, to take care of myself and to give my son uh, a life the life that I wanted for him. Um, but at the end of the day, I had to realize and understand that I needed to be well. I needed to be whole. I needed to have my brain and my faculties in order to do that. So she decided that that was more important on the stool in the fight. And I commend her for that. Um, Putting the energies out there for Ibarra, that a manager, a good manager finds her, a promoter, a good promoter that sees her value finds her, and she can turn this experience into something that not only is she fighting for victims of kidnapping, because she fights for, she searches and helps to fight for the rights of women, Mexican women who get kidnapped and go missing, and are never seen again. So she has that, she has that goodness about herself, and she is a fighter. She fights for the vulnerable, and I like that about her. um, I pray that she finds good management and she finds a good promoter, and they put her in a place where she can continue the fight and be a beacon on the larger platform to fight for the vulnerable people, the vulnerable women who are getting kidnapped, and also the vulnerable fighters who get taken advantage of the way she has gotten taken advantage of. So that's it, everyone. Thank you, everybody that dropped comments. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share the sugar. Okay. And let me know, come drop in the comments. Let me know what you think about the vids, right? I gotta put some good days at the office now in in some of my comments and shows and stuff like that. But until then, like I said, like, subscribe, share some of this sugar, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 7:30. Bye bye.